RotoGrinders, Dean here. Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical, this is the start of 2+ hours nonstop Mlb Dfs conversation. It's hump day. We have an 11-game slate going down. Pretty good one for sure. Plenty of time to knock it all out. Joining me today, you got to go 3-man booth for this one. It's Bobby Gomes. What's up, Bobby? How are things in your world? How was the 4th? Anything noteworthy? Did you hang out with Kirk Dees? Did you guys get the fam together or not so much?
I didn't hang out with Kirky. I would have loved to hang out with Kirky yesterday, but weather didn't permit really doing much in Massachusetts. So, 4th was great. Spent it inside. Would have rather spent it outside, but other than that, good 4th.
Chop, how about yourself? Can you see that? Can you raise it? How was your 4th? How are things for you on a Wednesday? I guess afternoon. We can say afternoon still, right? It's still what, 4 in your area? I'm doing some math. Central Time. Afternoon?
4:02, Dean. It's 4:02. We're rolling. We're doing the show. It's been a long day. I had a lot of stuff to do today, but I'm going to cap it off with the show. And 4th of July is what it is. It's just another weird holiday they throw at us that I don't know. I don't know what they want out of us. More firework purchases, whatever, man. I get it. Fine.
You're coming at big fireworks, you're saying? If the whole thing is a ruse?
Like, do I really need to hear them in my ear at 11:30 at night when everybody's trying to sleep and the dog's laying down? I really don't, but to each his own, man. If those people don't have to work the next day, good for them.
They went till 2 a.m. here, so in Florida. I don't understand, and I don't get it, man. Whatever, it's one of those things. It never changes. It's the same show every single year. I don't understand what the obsession with fireworks, but I guess people get excited about it. Bobby, are you pro? Are you on the time? Are you on team fireworks? Like, you thoroughly enjoy? You've seen one fireworks show. You've seen them all, right? We basically, you got it. You can cross that box that box off, and we can move on to something else, I think.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I live on the water over here, and they do like a big display. Kirky can probably see it from his house too. I think it's fine if it's done in a timely manner. I was watching Avatar last night, and then they just started going off. So I don't know. It wasn't the greatest, especially for my kid. His room's right there too. So yeah.
No. Were you watching the first Avatar or the second one?
The second. I didn't get through. I didn't finish it. I fell asleep halfway through. It wasn't bad.
Avatar, the second one. Yeah, man. I got through about 30 minutes and that was it. I can't. No, it's not good, Dean.
I've not seen it. I saw the first one in the theaters. It looked cool. Like, it looks well, like it's well produced, but I didn't walk out of that theater and say, you know what? I hope in 10 years they do another one of these so I can go see it. And in 10 more years from then, I can see another one. I was done. I was good. Like, all right.
The first one I've seen a few times because I had kids at that age. It was a very interesting movie. It was ahead of its time, the technology of it, the graphics of it at that time. And so we watched it a few times, over the years. Boy, they waited all these years. They come back with Avatar. Now it's like, it's the same stuff we see in a lot of movies, right? As far as graphics and stuff. So there's nothing that stands out. Oh, and by the way, it's a terrible storyline. So yeah, man, no, thank you, man. And now he's talking about, we're going to wrap this up in like 5 pieces all the way through 2030 will be the last one, man.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
Sounds like a similar movie franchise that we've talked about.
Oh, no, sir. These guys are crazy, man. This is ridiculous. This is a bad storyline. I can't get behind these guys. I can get behind Vin Diesel and family. I can't get behind these little blue guys in this. I don't even know what it is. Like, don't get me started. It's a whole different world.
We got to do a crossover. We got to get Toretto somehow in the Avatar 2030.
Dean,
stop. Is that possible?
Stop it, Dean.
You're telling me you wouldn't watch that just for curiosity, if nothing else?
Oh man, if you throw Toretto in there, I might watch it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it was about a 20-minute movie for me. I got through about 20 minutes of it.
Mr. Gergen, chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do you subscribe? Do you turn on those notifications? Do all those things. He's asking, let's see, is Bobby wearing a Rangers hat? Rangers, not Bruins? Bobby, what's going on here?
No, it's just a hat that I threw on because I'm currently balding. So yeah. I don't know. I like the Rangers. I was glad they traded for Patrick Kane, one of my favorite hockey players at the deadline. So yeah, I don't hate the Rangers. I do hate the Bruins. Not a Bruins guy. It's under Don.
Is that a traffic related thing or? Is that due to traffic or not? It's something else.
It has to do with traffic, but also like I just dislike Don Sweeney. He had 3 first-round draft picks and probably the best draft you could possibly ever have. 3 first-round draft picks, and he completely botched all 3 of them. So, yeah, I'm not a Don Sweeney guy. Until they get rid of Sweeney, I'm not with the Bees. I'm back on the
20,000. Minus 20,000 in the markets today that we would get a Don Sweeney rant out of you, but I appreciate it. I did not see that coming for sure. Something we can agree on, Bobby, is we want Kirkwood. When is he going to release his Gutless power rankings? We asked him the other day. You asked him the other day on Twitter, and maybe he's released them in your secret chat. I'm not privy to that, unfortunately. The public wants to see it. Are these fluid? Do they change every single day as far as his Gutless rankings? Do you know? Has he still working on them? Or it's all facade? He's not actually doing this.
So I'm not a member of the secret chat either. Maybe Chop could fill us in if he's dropping them in the secret chat. I'm not in there either. But no, I don't know. We'd have to ask Kirky next time he's on the show.
Chop, can you speak to this in the secret chat? Is who's Gutless and who's not Gutless? Does that come up in the conversation?
Oh man, Kirky's a little bipolar. It changes every day. One day a guy could be Gutless, and next he's the king of the world.
Oh, he said he lost a month's rent last night on the Dodgers bullpen. That's a bummer. Yeah. I think it was Phillips, the guy that blew it. Evan. He gave up 3 runs last night. That's a bummer. Well, hey, you know what? DFS, clean slate, brand new slate today. 11 gamer going down. Somebody's talking about Pablo Lopez being potentially Gutless. I hope he's not, because he's my favorite pitcher in the slate, probably many people's favorite pitcher on the slate. And the favorite team is just like, okay, what day is it? Day ending in Y. Yep, Braves, sure. Okay, Dodgers. I think those are the top 2 teams. Of course, they're going to cost you as well. Salaries are really getting pumped up there. Acuna, I want to say, is 6'7" now on DK, which is kind of outrageous, but also you can still make that work. And on the road, 5 ABs, power, speed combination. Certainly, a few people have the upside he has. Bobby, let me go to you as far as your screenshot. Give me your overview as far as today's slate.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are kind of down on the pitching in the slate, where I think it's pretty spread out to where it's stronger than people are kind of giving it credit for. Pablo Lopez at 40%. I'll be trying to get away from that in tournaments, but obviously he's your cash game go-to. Would expect people trying to get to Bobby Miller as well in that Dodgers game. He's priced at 8.3, so yeah, I feel like he'd be the second guy in. But for me, yeah, I like these Braves. I think they're good. I'm trying to get as many Braves as I can in lineups. It's just tough because of how the salary is. There's some good hitting weather. One of the teams I think is going to go overlooked on this slate is Texas versus Bello, just because of how good Bello's been. But I like getting me some Texas just getting different in stacks. I think the Mets are going to be popular. I think the Dodgers will be popular. We have good hitting weather in this Baltimore game and then the Cincinnati-Washington game as well. So I think those are the teams that I'll if I was running 150, I'd be trying to get, they'd be pretty much making up my primary and secondary stacks within MLB lineup HQ.
What are you running today? If not 150, how many lineups?
12 teams, but I'll build 300. So yeah.
By the way, you did mention weather. I'm going to drop Roth's weather report. Roth, of course, will be on in an hour and 5 minutes, give you the most up-to-date update as far as this. But he does have, you're talking about positive hitting weather, just precipitation issues out there in Chicago, the White Sox, Toronto, Chicago, orange, yellow. I'll drop this in chat so y'all can read this at your own leisure. But it looks like it says he thinks it's a fairly clear late start in play. So as of right now, at least what I'm reading, how that sounds is, okay, just if they're going to be patient, it probably won't be an issue, but see what Roth has to say in about an hour or so. We have some stuff here popping as far as weather edge. I know there's some early games that had the fire emoji, not on our slate. Detroit was getting the fire emoji, a couple other games, but nothing, I don't think, unless I missed it. This stuff gets updated, Bobby. Scrolling now. What game? You're talking about Boston? Yeah, little boots, the boots on the ground. So that's could potentially be interesting. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we do have the fire emoji in Washington, Cincinnati, Washington, and New York, the Yankees versus Baltimore. As far as the history, not spectacular, just basically neutral in the sample size we have. But, the combination of temperature, wind, and dew point is popping for hitting. And you mentioned Boston, Bobby. Yeah, 134 games. the sample size, an increase in homers in almost 20%. 81 degrees, kind of a crosswind at 4 miles per hour. 71 is the dew point. Chop, yourself, what are you looking at as far as the slates? And how many? I think you actually said in today's survey you're running 150, right? You're not messing around, having a good time.
Yeah, Dean. It's Wednesday. We only got a few days before the All-Star break, so might as well try to pump in some MLB before we take a week off. So I'm going to run myself, Dean, 3 lineups, which are going to be hand-built, which consist of some GPP and a lot of cash, just because I'm trying to rack up some points there to get to Onyx next year. Got to do what you got to do. And then, since DraftKings come out with this nice little, they're giving us the nice little 150. I'll get some 150 and some GPP, 150 and GPP on DraftKings. I won't touch FanDuel tonight since we're doing the show, so I don't want to have to navigate between 2 sites. So, Dean, that's how we'll run it out there.
Were you Onyx last year, running it back for as far as Onyx? And what'd you pick? What was your gift?
No, I was not Onyx last year. I did not know that these things were going to be this nice. So I didn't really, so I didn't play much on DraftKings, to be honest, until football came around, and then there was not enough time. So I'm not going to make that mistake this year when I saw that, they got some really nice stuff. I did actually purchase somebody's Apple set, that whole thing that they got.
Oh.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, they probably already had it. They're just getting duplicates, or they're just not a fan.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people already are satisfied with their phone or their iPad or whatever, and they gave out a whole bunch of stuff. So I just say, you know what, I'll buy that from you.
What kind of discount did you get? And I'm curious.
I got a pretty good discount, Dean. Like, I got a really good discount.
Okay,
he owed me a few bucks anyway. So I gave him like enough to where when I got the Apple package back, I took a couple of the smaller items in there and I eBayed them, and that paid for how much I sent him. And so then I got the other stuff for free. I really wanted the iPhone 14. It's like one of the good ones with like lots of storage in it.
Bobby, you Team Onyx last year?
Yeah, I got the golf clubs. That was the one I ended up getting. It was good. They fitted me. And my girlfriend keeps complaining that I haven't used them once all year. But yeah.
I was just going to ask, have you used them enough to justify it? You've not gone one time? That's interesting.
I haven't gone yet, no.
All right. Well, there's still time, I suppose. All right, Chop, your thoughts here as far as the slate. I was we're going to get the Bobby in a second. I was curious why Miller is really popping for you, which I think I like Miller, but he's not one of my favorite pitchers in the slate. Certainly he's interesting for tournaments. Lopez, 42% on DK. Talking about him being pretty chalky. That Kansas City lineup is quite horrendous. We saw Kenta Maeda shut him down yesterday. And he's kind of in his own tier as far as ownership. It is Lopez at 42% Chop on DK. Then Seth Lugo, who's fine, but he's pretty cheap, and he's facing an Angels team that's without Mike Trout. Probably going to be without Anthony Rendon. Rendon had trouble walking yesterday. And maybe, Ohtani left yesterday with a blister. I assume Ohtani's going to play, but it's possible. Maybe they give Ohtani another day. That Angels lineup is without Trout for sure. Rendon, I don't know if it's a positive or negative because he's horrendous. And maybe we'll see with Ohtani, but and the rest of the guys are bad too. Lugo's pretty cheap. Miller, okay, he's getting 21% matchup against Pittsburgh. He's been sort of up and down, but certainly he's shown flashes. Steele, I like a good bit. At the price is a little bit tricky against Milwaukee, but certainly there's some Ks there. Steele's been really solid, but 10-3 is a little bit pricey. I'll stop right there, Chop. The rest of the guys here, beyond Lopez, or feel free to give your take as far as Lopez, your SB2s, just your thoughts in general as far as the pitching pool.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not like super enthused with it, but there's enough to get by tonight. I definitely have Lopez as the number one option tonight in a vacuum in general. So you got that going for us. But a couple of guys that follow him up, I like Bobby Miller because I think the Pittsburgh lineup is not particularly good. So, and I think Bobby Miller's kind of shown in his brief stint up here in the big leagues. He's got some pretty good stuff. So I'll go Bobby Miller. I'm going Seth Lugo there. I'm putting Lugo in the same tier as Bobby Miller because of the matchup. First of all, Lugo is not he's not a particularly bad pitcher. Like he's struck out what about, let me see here. Okay, I think roughly 22% of the batters he's faced this year. Smaller sample because the only thing he's been in 11 games. But that 22% would represent a career low. Like he's been a 25 plus percent strikeout guy. So he hadn't struck out as many this year. He's also has a 325 BABIP against him. So he's gotten a little bit unlucky there. So I think there's still room for him to grow. But I think the big thing is, you touched on it, was the lineup tonight. We know we're not going to see Trout. I don't think we see Rendon. And I think there is a chance maybe we don't even see Shohei in there, man. I know it's just a blister, but even with a blister, do you really want to be gripping a bat? And like it could be a thing where they give him a day off or so, man. I don't know. And even if he is in there, maybe he's not. Maybe it does hurt him a little bit, I don't know. But I think it's a weaker lineup, so I can go with Lugo. I think he has some arm talent anyway. So, and then Justin still falls into the same category for me, but he's so much more expensive than the other two guys that I put in that tier. But I do like the matchup tonight, and I like he's getting back to – he dominated. He might have been one of the best pitchers in baseball about the first month of the year. Kind of fell on some hard times, but he looks better lately. So I can put him in that tier. Those are the four guys I'm really focused on, especially when I'm doing those three lineups in cash. I'll probably rotate around those guys. The other guys, not so much. I could poke holes in all those guys' games, but we could talk about them more in depth earlier. But maybe a Barrios, but I don't love the weather there. Maybe who else is out there that is halfway decent? There's Bello and Gray are in the same game. Those are two, facing two tougher offenses, though, each other. Oh, and they've got an easy hitter umpire in that game. So probably, those little things like that. Good hitting weather in the Toronto game, easy hitters ump in the Boston game. Things like that kind of throw me for a loop. That's why I'm sticking to those four I mentioned.
When you see EH, you think it's easy hitter? Extreme is that what you're going for?
Easy hitter. It's easy hitter, man.
Easy. Okay. All right. I thought the E stood for extreme, but I stand corrected. Never mind.
Oh, Dean, it can stand for whatever you want it to stand for, brother. It can stand for whatever you want it to stand for.
I agree with Chop here. It can stand for whatever you want it to stand for. I don't know why Dean's going at you, Chop, on this tape.
I don't know. I'd like to know what Dean thinks the big difference is between extreme hitter umpire and easy hitter umpire. Basically, it's the same thing.
Well, you're not hitting the umpire for starters. You're
easy hitter.
Hitting the umpire. Easy hitter umpire.
Easy for hitters. Like it's an easy way for.
No, that's EFH. You're adding letters.
No, Dean. But the people are looking at. A lot of people have no idea what the abbreviations mean. They have no idea. These,
clearly,
it's a very simple. It's a very simple. I'm trying to simplify it for them. You say EH, easy for hitters, easy hitter, EH, easy. I'm just, this is my teaching mode coming out. This is my teaching mode. Dean, weren't you a teacher, Dean, at one point?
Yes. This is.
And how can you be so bad at it then? This is why the youth are failing in America these days, because Dean was teaching them 5-10 years ago.
I haven't taught for almost 10 years, so it's not on me. You can, if you want to go retroactive to 2012 in South Florida, I guess you can point to me. I'm just one person, but yeah. You said you're going in teaching mode. What are you teaching? Are you teaching today? Currently, are you a teacher right now?
Yes, Dean. We're on the show. People are listening to learn some stuff. I'm teaching.
Oh, this is you teaching right now?
I am teaching the people, Dean. I am teaching the people right now.
Okay.
EH. Simplified. When you see the EH, easy for hitters. You see the EP, easy for pitchers. Obviously, Dean, Roth is given fire symbols for weather, right? That doesn't mean that, it's a fire symbol. It's guaranteed to be a hitter's, paradise out there. It could still get shut down, right? It's just kind of like an abbreviation. It's just, you see a flame, oh, that's good for hitters. You see an EH, easy for hitters.
Matt in chat says hitters umpires should be hump and pitchers umpires should be pump. Are you on board with that, or again, you said you can imply it however you want, so you can't.
I mean,
you gotta
Matt,
be open to these
I appreciate the effort, Matt, but like I think I would get confused by hump and pump. Like what hump and pump? I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Now, do you do the reach around stack against the hump pitcher or the pump pitcher?
Well, how do you prefer, Dean? How do you prefer giving the reach arounds?
You're teaching me. I'm asking the question.
How do you prefer giving the reach arounds these days, Dean?
You're the expert, man.
You want a hump or you want a pump?
I retired my teaching.
You want a hump with your reach around, or you want a pump with your reach around? What do you want, brother?
All right. So some of the people in chat, you've convinced them. But just so they know, the extreme 4 hitters umpires or the extreme hitters umpires, however you want to go with that. Extreme hitters umpire today for Brian Bayo, John Gray, Alex Cobb, and Tommy Malone is throwing baseballs professionally in the year 2023. Good for him. He's back. 1 extreme pitchers umpire, extreme 4 pitchers. It'll be Pablo Lopez. Alec Marsh on the other end is 5K. It was kind of sort of somewhat interesting as a dart. Bobby, oh no, Chop, you're running 150, right? Is Marsh in your pool like a way to get?
No way, man.
Why are you not on Marsh?
Why am I not on Marsh? Like I don't know. He hasn't shown me anything, even going back to some minor league numbers, and I'm just briefly pulling them up just to see if I would have any interest.
He was pretty good in the minors, pretty good case, and he faced the Dodgers. What do you want from the guy?
He was. You got to read through some of those. He's got to be like I want a guy who stands out, or else he shows something that, he comes from an organization that can develop really well. Kansas City doesn't do that, and his first outing didn't look particularly good. I know it was the Dodgers, but he kind of did in his first outing what I thought he would do. So there's nothing that stands out. I don't know. Like I'm looking like how can I? So the guys who are staying in my player pool, I would rather spend a little bit more. And this is just GPP, and I don't even know if he'll make it. But a guy like Graham Ashcraft, because if he's got it rolling, he's got the talent to mow through some guys and strike some guys out. I'm not saying I'm going to play him, and I'm probably not going to play Mike Soroka, but he's cheap, and if he's got his stuff, I'm not playing Soroka. I'm not even going to suggest that, but at least there's a pedigree with those guys where there's not a pedigree with Alec Marsh at all.
Bobby, did you want to retort? It sounds like you're at least interested to some degree.
Hey, Bobby's won a lot of money lately. I trust Bobby's process.
Let Bobby teach.
So I think you definitely can play Marsh. This Minnesota team struggled versus righties all year. He's 5K. Like I don't mind getting to some Marsh, and now I just reran the bat, and it seems like Marsh is hitting as the number 2 for cash games.
Oh, wow.
So at 5K, I don't mind Marsh. I like the Soroka call, though, Chop. I can pitch some Soroka. I'm going to be playing Braves tonight, especially if you're playing 150. I think he makes a good bit of sense. I like Alex Cobb. Maybe I'm getting away. Maybe just for his upside, he probably isn't the greatest. But if I was running 150, I think I'd come over on Cobb and Steele. Relative to Pablo, I think I'll be under on. I just joined the $3. I didn't realize there was a $3. I think I'll be under on Pablo. But yeah, I like up top. It probably go Cobb, Steele, Lopez for me. Then getting into like the middle range, Miller, Lugo. I think you can make a case for Marsh. I think these guys are all in play. That's what Marsh at the bottom.
Did I miss here? I thought Chop didn't like Soroka. You kind of mentioned his name in passing. He's pretty cheap. But Chop, it didn't sound like you're in on Soroka. Maybe I misunderstood.
I looked at him. He was still in my player pool. I remember right before we came on the show, I was trying to dig into him a little bit more, and there were some things that threw me off about him. So I probably won't play him, but I guess the point being I would rather play Soroka than Marsh if I'm in that position. But, Soroka, like I think his high point in his career was a 20% K rate. And that was the only full season he ever really got. Everything else has been injured. And Cleveland, I haven't seen their lineup today and played IQ. I can look at it real quick and see if they're still a pretty standard lineup. Yeah, the pretty standard lineup that doesn't strike out a lot. Maybe the bottom of the order, you can get a couple young guys that strike out, but otherwise, I don't know. So he's okay, I guess, for run suppression. And you know what, I guess what Bobby's trying to do, because he likes Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like he's trying, like, I get it, man. Those bats are so expensive. You got to do something crazy to be able to stack those. So I understand how I like it too. I just think I can find probably a little bit, just go a little bit higher for me, and I could figure out a way to stack a few of the Braves and not do a full on stack or something like that. I understand the concept though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a general rule, you're just supposed to be over on the Braves basically every single day, and I think today is another one of those days where I'm going to be over on them. It sounds like Bobby's going to be over on them, but they're expensive, and they're getting more and more expensive. Everybody's creeping up. Like we said, Acuna is almost at $7K at this point. Kirkwood in chat saying Soroka has a longer neck than Joey Wendell. Are those guys both known for having long necks? I don't know how that translates to strikeouts, but okay.
How do they compare? How do they compare to Merton Hanks, the 49ers defensive back?
Yeah, he's on like the Family Feud board, right? And whenever he would intercept the ball, he would do like a dance with his neck.
Oh,
yeah, it was spectacular. I was thinking, I thought Davis Mills was the chalk. Isn't he? He's got to be on the podium, right? As far as long necks, no?
He probably up there.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably weren't prepared for this, Bobby, but if anybody else you can think of, famous athletes that are notorious for, maybe the chat can chime in. I'm not really sure who else we got, but yeah, that seems like the chalk to me.
That quarterback for Houston. Who's the quarterback for Houston?
Davis Mills.
Is that who you said? Mills? Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation.
Eric is saying, I really like Marsh today. Am I crazy? Well, we just talked about it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth a GPP whirl. I can't believe he's popping up in. Mike Lennon's a good answer too by Kevin in chat. That's a good answer. It's really, really solid. Brett Gardner, never really noticed his neck before, but okay, I'll take your word for it there, Kirkwood. Marsh is popping up as the SP2 in cash games. That's kind of surprising. I've not run the bat stuff. According to RG projections, maybe there's a distinct difference in projection. We get that every once in a while. Let's see. RG projections, the plate IQ projection, we're giving Marsh about 11 points. Bobby, what do we have according to Carty? Carty will be on in about 45 minutes or so. He'll be defending Marsh, I imagine. We'll see. That stuff might change, but he'll probably be talking about him one way or the other. What's the projection, the median projection for Marsh on DK according to the bat? You have it there handy?
Currently, I do not have it there handy.
Actually, I can pull it up.
I mean, before the show, maybe
I'm incorrect on that. Maybe I'm looking at my own boost to Marsh, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
what I'm seeing too. I think he's got like 10 points or so as his projection according to the bat. And the bat is notorious, not always, but general rules does not like rookies.
Yeah.
So he's getting about 10 points. Yeah, so I would assume he's not hitting optimals there. But other pitchers, if you guys want to talk about somebody else, feel free to throw them out there in chat. It is an interactive show. It's more fun when you guys participate. You guys kind of steer the ship. Much more, there's a format to Crunch Time. Crunch Time comes on 45 minutes or so. They'll give their favorite plays, position by position. We just sort of like, overview of the slates. Whatever comes up, comes up. If we miss something, somebody in the chat for sure is going to steer it in the right spots. We do have our projected, our current consensus value rankings for pitchers today. Myself and the one and only head chopper, Tim Tasteful Tides, Napster Man, collectively chop. We have Lopez, number 1. This is on DK. Lugo, Steele, Miller, Soroka, Lance Lynn. Not a lot of lefties in that Toronto side, so maybe Lynn is kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Senga and his Ghost Fork. He's pretty expensive. That matchup versus Arizona is not spectacular. Me and you, Chop, we both ranked Bayo. I think he's got good stuff. I don't really want to pick on Texas, but for tournaments running a bunch of lineups, sure, I'm okay with that. A little bit of love for Ashcraft, Cobb, Sandoval, Kramer, Josiah Gray. Yeah, Chop, anything that we should point out that anybody we haven't really talked about? We haven't really talked about Senga. He's expensive. There's no discounts. He walks too many guys. Arizona, they're fast and they get on base. If you're running a bunch of lineups, I guess you are. Is Senga in your pool, Chop?
Yeah, he's in the GPP pool just because you just don't know what you're going to get. with that guy. It could be really bad, but it could be really good. So that he's a GPP play. He wouldn't touch a cash game for me. But GPPs, he's just so yeah. But then he's also so expensive, and that's why he'll be like nobody will loan him tonight. But GPP, sure, why not? He's got that potential in him. The one guy we haven't talked about. If we want to save some money, like maybe the cheapest guy I could see rostering tonight, like real. And I don't love going against Baltimore, even though they have really, in Kirk's words, he would tell you Baltimore
Gutless?
they have been gutless on offense lately. But I don't like picking on him because it's a pretty decent lineup typically. But Randy Vasquez, it's not terrible. Like, he's not bad. He just needs to, if he has a little bit of control, he can get through 5, and he's not terrible, man. If Baltimore is going to continue to be gutless on offense, Randy Vasquez can be pretty decent.
He's been lucky for what it's worth in a super small sample, right?
Aren't we all lucky? Aren't we all the lucky, Dean? We're here on a show talking baseball, man.
Yeah,
we're all lucky.
Sure. But like, I don't have a bad whip. I don't have a left on base percentage, but specific to the conversation. But yeah, that's a fair point you make.
Well, I'd say just pulling up his numbers right now, some of his pitches.
Yeah.
The expected batting average, the expected weighted on base, it's all pretty good. Like a couple of his cutter, his slider's terrible, but his four-seamer and a sinker, the two most used pitches, are pretty good. So, if he sticks with his thing and he hits his target, he can get another the 20-point outing, the elusive 20-point outing, man, from a $7,100 guy to get you a Brave stack, something like that. I could get behind something like that. You know what I mean, Dean?
Just want to mention, by the way, we should note one of my favorite cheapies in this slate is Colton Cowser. Colton Cowser making his MLB debut. He's like a number 15 prospect in all of baseball. I think it was MLB.com, had him like 15 or 16 or so. Some power, some speed. He's 2K on DK, so that Baltimore lineup does look better. A lot of youth. Henderson, of course, getting the call up. Westberg, another cheapie. Mullins, has been good for several years now. O'Hearn's got some power against righties. Rushman's phenomenal. I think that lineup looks better than it. Like you said, they've been gutless and underachieving, however you want to phrase it. But I think that Baltimore lineup's pretty good today. I don't know, Bobby. What's your take here? Any Randy Vasquez? I'm not rostering Randy Vasquez. Certainly not at 7.1K, where we can get some guys that are cheaper. And again, I believe that's Cowser's solid. I believe in Westberg and all these guys, and maybe not today, but eventually they'll get there. But I'm not really looking to pick on Baltimore with Vasquez, whose regression monster's coming.
I'm with you. So for me, like, I'd rather pitch Lugo at 7.9 or Soroka at 6.7 instead of Vasquez, or go down to Marsh at 5K. I think that's where Vasquez just falls short of my pool. Those would be the three guys on the low end that I'd have the most interest in.
Arizona lineup drop. Perdomo, Longoria batting second. That's interesting. Perdomo, Longoria, Carroll, Walker, Gurriel, McCarthy, Kelly, Ahmed, Thomas. Who's not in that lineup? Oh, no, Ketel Marte. Okay. No Marte today for Arizona for whatever reason. So it's a good lineup to pick on, right? It's not the best Arizona lineup if you want to consider Senga, but he is still pretty expensive. Question in chats. Can we touch on Tommy Malone? Does anybody want to touch on Tommy Malone? Anybody want to?
He's 4K. Like, that's the only reason I'd be willing to play Tommy Malone is like the price. But like I said, I prefer Marsh.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Like, there's no strikeouts there. I think he's mostly stretched out, so theoretically he can eat like 5 or 6 innings. But I'm with you. Like, give me the dude in Kansas City, Marsh. I'll take Soroka. I'm not rostering Tom or Malone. It's just not happening. Somebody else was asking if Ohtani sits, does that bump Lugo to top 3, top 4 tonight? I think he's already in top 3, top 4. Is that wrong to say, Chop? He kind of already is in the podium, right? Think so?
Yeah, Dean. I said that earlier. I say he's in my top 4. Lugo. Yeah, that's with Ohtani in there. If Ohtani's out, he's still in the top 4. He's not going to go down if Ohtani's out. So I'm good with that. Yeah.
Don Yuzi says Big T used to call Tommy Malone caveman. I don't remember this, but okay. Do you guys know that story? But I don't. Is he like not shaven? I don't remember what Tommy Malone looks like. But all right. Steve is saying who's worse, Quantrill or Sandoval? Quantrill. It's Quantrill, right? Like that's snap call. It's Quantrill is worse than Sandoval. Yes,
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially considering today, like if you want to pick on Atlanta, by all means, go for it. Good luck, enjoy yourself. But I'm not doing that. But just as like a general thought, I think Quantrill has so on the season, Quantrill's got a 5.57 Sierra, a 6.18 ERA. And he's actually been pretty lucky as far as his home run, the fly ball stuff. Just 8.6% of his fly balls have gone out of the ballpark. He's not stranding as many runners, so I guess kind of sort of somewhat evens out. 61% strand rate, not very good, but the K's at 12.3%. Like the Atlanta guys are going to hit the ball. They're going to hit the ball hard, and we'll see how bad it works out for him. But no chance I would roster some Cal Quantrill today. Anything else of note that we should talk about, or so we'll just give the summary when it comes to pitchers? I don't see anybody else with any other takes. Sam Malone is greater than Tommy Malone. That is a dated reference, sir. You're showing your age. Chop knows himself some Sam Malone, right? Didn't he play for the Boston Red Sox? I think in the TV show.
He might have.
That a thing?
He might have.
Yeah.
He might have. But I'd say Moses Malone is probably a better pitcher.
Now you're really showing your age.
Probably a better pitcher than Tommy Malone.
Yeah, we can do the Malone power rankings for sure. All right. Yeah, Sam Malone was a Red Sox relief pitcher. Okay, I watched Cheers, but not really. I'm aware of the show, but I could not tell you did not watch a ton of it. I did go to that tourist trap there in Boston. I did go to the Cheers bar, which I'm sure there's no chance Bobby would ever catch himself. You wouldn't catch yourself dead in the Cheers bar in Bobby. Like that's all for like schmucky tourists like myself, right?
Yeah, I've never been to the Cheers bar. I know where it is, obviously, but yeah, I never really been. Maybe I have when I was a kid because I used to get the school bus over there, so right in front of there. But no, not since.
Yeah. Tommy Henry, 2 first names. Tommy Henry, anybody?
We're not playing Tommy Henry tonight. Although the Mets should be on Kirkwood's gutless list. Very gutless. But that I had Senga out of the pool. But do we put Senga back in the pool with Marte there? And the Mets do look good. Some of their deeper stuff, just the ISOs for Alonso, Lindor, Starling Marte. So I don't know, but the Mets are very gutless.
Yeah, I could have used Alonso's one of those guys I just never get right. I never seem to catch him the days where he done something, but that's just how it works sometimes. Luke says Mets are favorite stack. There you go. We'll talk stacks in just a second, obviously. Anything else here? You want to give a summary? Give me your summary, Bobby, as far as pitchers today.
Yeah, so up top, if I had to rank them, probably go Cobb, Steele, Lopez. Middle, probably go Lugo, Miller, Lynn, and then the bottom would probably be Marsh, Soroka and Marsh for me.
Chop, what do you want to add there? I'm running some. I want to see where optimals are putting like cash game pitchers. I think for sure it's going to be Lopez. Well, we'll see. Probably going to be Lopez and Lugo is my guess, but we'll see. Chop, what do you want to add as far as pitchers?
I just want, my summary would be I like 4 guys. I like 4 guys stand out for me: Lopez, Bobby Miller, Lugo, and Justin Steele. Those are 4 guys that'll be pretty centric in my hand builds, and I'll force a bunch of them in GPPs. After that, there's a steep fall off, and these other guys are kind of just GPP only.
All right, it appears we got an Angels lineup. Ohtani is in it. I was wondering why. Yeah, Adele pinch hit last night. He's batting cleanup tonight. He's kind of an interesting. Is he like 2K, Joe Adele? Moniak is leading off with Escobar, Ohtani, Adele, Moustakas, Renfroe, Theis, Rengifo, and Velasquez. So obviously no Trout for the foreseeable future, and also no Rendon, which again I don't know if that's good or bad. They just traded for Escobar. He's in the 2 hole. Just called up Adele. He's in the 4 hole. Is he like 2K, Adele? He could be useful if he's 2K.
So Taylor Ward's out. Taylor Ward's out too.
Yeah, no Turner Ward. Adele's 2.7. Okay, he could be useful theoretically. All right.
Oof, man, I don't know, Dean. There's your number 2 hitter. There is Easy Out. Easy Out Escobar.
EO. EOE.
Easy Out Escobar as his nickname. When he played for the Mets, it was his nickname.
Who called him that? Kirkwood?
Mets fans.
Oh. Producer Steve is not here to confirm that, but I imagine he probably said meaner things. Steve really likes to tilt his Mets. We did get an update, by the way, as far as the White Sox. It looks worse, according to Roth. Roth will be on about a half hour or so, but we're looking at straight orange now. Storms look a bit slower to clear, increasing my risk. I'm reading Roth's blurb. Increasing my risk for a postpone. And there, the original post is there, but apparently it's just going a little bit slower than anticipated. Therefore, the delay will be longer. Therefore, maybe they just say, screw it. We'll throw it out and come back tomorrow. Somebody mentioned Lance Lynn. He's kind of sort of someone interesting. We have seen him at least throw a couple ceiling games this year, and he's got massive splits, and that Toronto side is, pretty well right-handed. The lefties are Brandon Belt, Biggio, and Kevin Kiermaier, the old outlaw. I guess he's interesting, kind of, sort of, somewhat if that game goes, but as of right now, I'm not getting there. I'm not making enough lineups. Anything else in the chat, or shall we pivot and talk about some stacks? All right, let's talk some stacks. No surprise, according to our power rankings, again, myself and Chop and Napsterman and Tim, we have them ranked as such, Chop. Atlanta 1, this is consensus-wise, Atlanta, Dodgers, Minnesota, Cincinnati, the Mets, Boston, San Diego, and Washington. Let's see. You have Washington as your number 5 team, which is kind of sort of you're by yourself. You're on Washington Island. I think it's good weather in there today, if not mistaken. It's pretty good ballpark as is. But yeah, talk about overall stacks and tell me why Washington's one of the, I guess your sneaky stack, I suppose, is the way to phrase that.
Oh, okay, Dean. You mean in general here? We're going to talk some stacks. I would say some of it's pretty clear cut right there. LA and powerful offense like Atlanta. That speaks for itself. So just trying to get a little bit different in there. And Minnesota has a bad group of hitters in general, and they do a lot of weird platoon splitting. Maybe you might get one at bat. So I don't know that I can stack them. But man, I would like to attack Marsh, but I do get scared off of the pulling my guys after 1 or 2 at bats.
I'll make you feel a little bit better, Chop. There's only one lefty in that bullpen, and it's Amir Garrett. So just one, and he's like a 1-inning guy basically. So I agree with you. I'm Minnesota, but I'm much more concerned with them when they start against lefties, and they're sitting guys like Gallo and Julian and Kirilov, and then when the righty comes in, they take other guys' spots. But they're starting against a righty, and there's only one lefty in that pen. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I would just say the likelihood of happening is downgraded. So do you feel any better there about Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm going to stack them a little in the GPPs. Yeah, I don't. Generally the offense isn't that good, but I think it's a pretty decent matchup today. So we'll take a shot at them. The Texas, Boston, those guys are next on the board as far as team totals. I think there's, I don't want to take Bello or John Gray, but I also don't want to stack against them. I'm not like running out to stack against them. So I don't know if maybe those might just be like one-off situations or things like that. But we get down to like Cincinnati, Washington. San Diego's pretty good, actually. San Diego kind of starting to figure some things out there. A pretty decent lineup. But when we get to Cincy, Washington, that's where, like, just generally speaking, Cincinnati is really starting to almost like a basketball thing where they're starting to like play these shootouts. Their offense is so good, the pitching is so suspect that no lead is safe against them. No lead is safe, for your own team. But Washington, I think, has a sneaky good offense when they piece it together right. Ashcraft, if we're going by expected ERA, home runs per 9, he's one of the worst pitchers on the slate. So I think I can stack me some Washington there. And Cincinnati goes without speaking. They're just a really solid offense these days. And like Lane Thomas, I think I was the only one who ranked him in the outfield today. I'm not sure about that, but boy, this guy should be an all-star, I think, man. And he's the best hitter in this lineup, and he's a scary hitter, so I like it.
Who is their all-star? I think it might be Josiah Gray. You gotta like.
Oh no way, is it? Whoa, that's a travesty.
You gotta have
if
one.
It is.
You gotta have one on each team, and I feel like it might be Josiah Gray. It might be Thomas, but or maybe it's like a reliever or something.
I don't think he made it. And I think I was reading he didn't make it, which surprised me. Josiah Gray would be an absolute travesty, man.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to be the all-star, right?
Yeah, Lane Thomas, your best hitter.
Well, I mean, there's more competition in the outfield, I suppose. Yeah, it's Josiah Gray. He is their all-star this year.
Hunter Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, he's a reliever. Whatever, he's fine, I guess.
The chat's saying I think it's Hunter Harvey.
Oh, I'm seeing 3 days ago on MLB.com Gray to represent Nationals all-star. Remember Hunter Harvey's dad, right, Chop?
Matt Harvey?
No. Well, how old do you think Matt Harvey is?
Matt Harvey. He was in the league for about 10 years. Then he had the transplant to get the fallopian tube put in his arm, in his elbow, and so then he got another 10 years after that. So he's been in the league quite a while, Dean, about 20 years.
You're talking about Matt Harvey was in the league for 20 years? Is that what you said?
Something like he had like two parts.
I don't think any of that was accurate. You just said. I'm pretty sure none of that was correct.
Yeah, it might be off a little bit, not much.
You ask Mets fans, they might agree with you. But no, Brian Harvey. Remember Brian Harvey, the closer for the Angels and the Marlins many, many years ago? Around the time Cheers might have been on?
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, so Josiah Gray last year was like giving up like 3 homers per 9. He subdued his homers this season, and actually surface numbers are good as far as his ERA, 3.3, so it's a respectable. You got to throw somebody in there. He has been lucky, right? The Sierra says it's a 4.8. The homers are down to 1.13 per 9, 11.7%. The fly balls are actually down as well this year too, but tough ballpark, tough opponent. I'm not rostering Josiah Gray this year. And I do agree with that thought process. Cincinnati, it feels like they've been in some shootouts. Of course, they're in a great hitting ballpark at home in Cincy. This is a good ballpark too. And there's more coming. Encarnacio Strand is coming soon enough. I would imagine another prospect for the Reds. Bobby, your thoughts as far as stacks today? You line up with Chop? Are you on board at Washington? I just don't know where to go beyond Lane Thomas, who's like pretty good, but like, is Lane Thomas going to break me? Probably not.
So I'm with you, Chop. I think Lane Thomas should be the all-star for Washington. I don't know if I'm building 150. Maybe I'll have Washington as a secondary, but they're not in my top 5. It would be Atlanta, the Dodgers, followed by the Mets, which is like, I'm currently not playing Senga, but now we got the Kettle Marte news. Maybe I have to work Marte back into my Mets stacks. And my 5th is going to be a little off the board. I like Texas. Definitely interested in Texas tonight. I think I could play Texas as like my 3rd stacks. I think with the total being 10, people are going to see Bello. They're not going to play Bello. Texas is like the GBP stack, in my opinion, that you want to be on tonight. Whether it's as a secondary or a full stack, I like Jung. I like Adolis Garcia. I like Seager. And Jonah Heim. They're getting all these – when these guys are like a switch hitter like Heim, he's going to get that wall in Fenway. So I think it's a pretty good spot for these Texas guys. I know Bello's been great, but he is a young pitcher, right? Early on, he struggled with walks. Texas strikes out a good bit, but I could just see Texas being the tournament team at the end of the night that you're going to want to hitch your wagon to. And then if I had another, it would be San Diego, the Padres.
Yeah, I like both of those as kind of off the board. I like Bello a ton, so I'm sort of conflicted, but you're right. Certainly Texas could pound him. It wouldn't shock me, but I'm kind of a Bello guy as well. Apparently, this is I didn't really think about it, but the Detroit's all-star is Michael Lorenzen. Good Lord. I mean, I don't know what the alternative would have been. Who else? It could. Remember that one year they gave like Tony Gwynn or like Wade Boggs like honorary all-stars. They couldn't have made like Cabrera an honorary all-star just for fun.
Wouldn't you just give it a Cabrera? It makes sense just to give it a Cabrera as the honorary.
But I don't know if that officially counts as like one of the guys. There was that time. It was a Tony Gwynn and like Wade Boggs, or like 2 guys in the back end of their career. But yeah, Michael Lorenzen. Congratulations to Michael Lorenzen. Looking at the all-star list, there are some weird names in there. But All right. I got Steve Harvey's come up in the comment. I guess now we got the Harvey power rankings have popped up, and we got to ban Eric because he said Steve Harvey, the Price is Right dude, right? Like what? Like, come on. How do you not know that? Like, if you know he's on a game show, how could you how do you confuse Family Feud and Price is Right? Drew Carey and Steve Harvey, or Bob Barker, however you're doing this, whatever math you're getting to. But and then he just randomly says he misses Jerry Springer. There you go. So Eric is on one today in chat, just throwing out all sorts of interesting.
What about Ricky Lake?
You were a Ricky Lake guy back in the day?
When I was a kid, it was always on in my house for some reason. I have no idea why. For some reason, I just come home and it was on. It'd just be the channel that everyone left on for whatever reason.
Not Donahue or
whatever channel it was on. I don't know. Horrible show.
There was a time in like the late 90s where it was a bunch of terrible talk, and it was all just like, I think they all kind of copied the format of Springer. They try to just shock the people, I guess. And Springer lasted forever, but I think most of them went away. Chop, did you watched one of these back in the day? You know who Ricky Lake is, right?
Ricky Lake. I know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Wasn't she a singer?
She was an actress.
Okay.
No.
Huh? No.
Are you thinking of like Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips?
That's
what you're getting confused with. That's what just happened.
Ricky Lake. No, man. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna Google it for you, Dean.
Yeah. Well, you're Googling it for yourself.
Ricky Lake is.
She had to be in a. I think that's what propelled her to get the job, was being some sort of a singer or something, an actress.
She was in a movie I think called Heathers, I want to say, and she probably did other stuff too. But yeah, there's some Jenny Jones stands in the chat. Remember, she was another one at her own show. Oh, Morton Downey Jr. That was not for the kids. Sally Jesse Raphael. There you go. That's a throwback.
Oh, I bet you liked her, Dean, didn't you? You liked her, didn't you, Dean? Yeah, brother.
13-year-old me was way into Sally Jesse Raphael. Had the poster on the wall and everything. All right. We're going off the rails a little bit early. Hey, there's a question in chat. Who likes Minnesota? Oh wait, this is like a prop bet, isn't it? Kepler or Buxton for 2+ bases. I have not dug into this stuff, like as far as underdog or prize picks or things of that sort. Chop, you have a lean on that? Is Kepler or Buxton? You like it for 2+ bases tonight? I like Buxton a good bit tonight, just as a general like GPP play. I think it's gonna be well owned as well. But Hairspray, is that what Ricky Lake was in? Hairspray, close enough. I knew it was in some movie. But Geraldo, forgot Geraldo as well. Chop, answer that question. Do we think that we're gonna get 2+ bases out of either Max Kepler or Buxton? Buxton more likely amongst those two.
I mean, do I think they're both? I mean, I would bet the over. I certainly wouldn't bet the under in this matchup with either one of them. You know, one of them will get there, I would imagine. If they both get there, I don't know. It's a tough one. You know, that's why they put big odds on that stuff. But you remember, Dean, when Geraldo made a big deal and tried to go into Al Capone's vault or whatever? Man, what an idiot!
It was the biggest wet fart ever, right? And it was live. I think it was live, and it
was live. It was. Oh, Morton Downey Jr. I remember Morton Downing was good for.
He would smoke and yell. That was his gimmick, right?
For a short period of time, he was definitely the bomb. I liked him. Montel Williams was good.
Montel was great.
Yeah, Montel was good.
And then he started hawking some weird things. He sells some weird stuff to old people on the TV now. But yeah, for a moment, Montel was really, really solid. Man, there was a lot of them, wasn't there? I don't know I think Kelly Clarkson's like taking over that market now. I think she's like number one. Now that there's no Oprah and there's no, what's her name? Ellen's gone. I think Kelly Clarkson's like the top show host, daytime wise, currently. I think.
Sherry's always on in my house. Sherry.
Who's Sherry?
She's a
just Sherry?
Talk show host. Yep.
No last name.
Sherry. You don't know who Sherry is, Dean?
Come on, Dean.
I don't think so.
Come on, Dean, man. Dean, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you believe Ellen DeGeneres was part of the Epstein Island thing where she was?
We've officially gone off the rails.
I just want to know Dean's opinion.
Why would I have an opinion on that?
Dean's a big conspiracy theorist. He was talking to us before the show about it.
Yes, I was listening to a lot of podcasts over the 4th of July, and I've been convinced of a lot of things. I don't really have a take on that. I have not thought about it. Yeah. So I don't know. Are you trying to get your own personal agenda out there? Did you have a thought? You just want me to ask you back?
I just think there's a lot of weird coincidences that are popping up, man, with this whole deal. So, and I've seen her name in there. So I'm just saying, I'm not Tommy G, man. I don't have anything I'm trying to, pump out there but
Yeah.
There's coincidences. That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can see what you want to see if you really want to convince yourself of such things. Don Yeezy saying I was on the list. Apparently, I can confirm. Well, yeah. All right. I have thoughts, but we shall move on. People want to know about the Earth being round or flat. Important questions in the chat. Nothing relevant to the slate tonight, but all right. Yo, I forgot Wendy Williams. Yeah, I forgot about her as well. Yeah, she's still going, I think, or maybe not.
Didn't she break wind on air?
Yeah, she did a lot of things on air. Yeah. My father used to love Wendy Williams, just as an aside. But all right, let's get back on track. What are we talking about? We're talking about stacks. By all means, with 15 minutes until crunch time comes in. Crunch time, you got STL cards. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth will tell you that's what's going on weather-wise out there in Chicago. Anything else that's kind of popping up? Anything else that's lurking? Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Yeah, Wendy Williams was just like a train wreck. It's like they don't rehearse her. They think they ran rehearsal. If you ever watched that show, it was fascinating to watch. But all right, what else is going on in chat? Now we just completely derailed the show, Chop.
The chat is saying that Bobby thought DeMar Hamlin was made up situation. Was it a Bobby double, a body double, Bobby, or was it?
I never said this. I don't know what the chat's talking about.
They might have access to the secret chat that you and Kirkwood are in, and maybe is that where the allegations have been founded?
That's where they were probably
right here. It's Chris Kirkwood says Bobby thought government made up DeMar Hamlin. There's nothing secret about that chat, Dean. It's right out there in the open.
I saw the ESPYs are going to be honoring the medical staff and for Buffalo, which is obviously how quick they acted and they saved his life. And I don't know if people are somebody I'm sure is upset about that somewhere. But
Dean, did you know trying to resuscitate someone, sometimes you have to come down with enough force to get that heart pumping that you actually break their ribs. It's a tough situation, man. It's crazy, man.
Well, I mean, I think it's a fair trade-off, right? I would take some broken ribs to live.
I'm just saying you can't just you can't do the TV stuff where you're just I don't know what this is right here. But you can't do that, Dean. You gotta come down with it, man. You gotta pound it, Dean. You gotta break some ribs and get in there and get that heart pumping. Just in case anybody's ever in that position, man.
Yeah, and also if you ever need to put some adrenaline in somebody's heart, I watched there's a documentary called Pulp Fiction many years ago. I learned how to do that too. If you're ever in a pinch, feel free to fire that up. But Brian in chat saying, funny how the ESPYs is so close to Epstein. There you go. See, It comes. Are we monetized or demonetized here, producer Devin? We're still on air, I believe, far as I know.
It probably left a long time ago. We're not live anymore.
We're already hit 88 miles an hour. We're pocketed into this nonsense.
They demonetized her for bringing up Ricky Lake on the show in 2023.
Who was the one that brought up the Ricky Lake? Who brought it up? Was it you?
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dean, we got a genuine question in chat. Kirk, company man Kirk's trying to help Milkman get the spotlight here. Dean, you said there's one righty or one lefty in the KC pen. Thanks.
Oh yeah. So there's one lefty in that KC bullpen. Okay, yeah, there you go. Amir Garrett is the only lefty that I'm aware of that's currently in that bullpen. Whitgren probably not going to work because he's a righty. He threw 36 pitches yesterday and also threw baseballs on Monday. But they have Barlow and Clark. Hernandez, Brooks Krisky, I'm told, is a person who's potentially available. So again, unless they're using like a long man that's like their sixth starter or something like that I'm not aware of, I think there's only one lefty lurking. So no guarantee, but a better chance than most days where Minnesota's probably not going to do their goofy left on left. I shouldn't say goofy because a lot of times it makes sense. San Fran's another team that does that a lot. Tampa's another team that does that a lot. Chop, do you have we've gone this far? No BVP plays, no triple G. But at least you have people hit that like button.
I got it all, Dean. I was just waiting for you to ask.
Okay, what do you got for me?
just checking out this Frisco lineup real quick. We're going to get Slater and Flores at the top 1-2. I like that. I like that a lot.
Ooh, Slater feels like a pinch hit risk to me.
They all do. It's San Francisco, but it's interesting. Hopefully you get there before. All right. BVP, Dean, there's not a lot that jumped out the algorithm today, but I'll give you one just because the people want it. DJ LeMahieu. Let's get some LeMahieu in there.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. He's not been great for a while now, and but we'll get it out there. And then so a triple G play. Let's go with your boy. Hassan Kim. Padres line against Sandoval. I'll go, and then later on after Kirkwood gives his Juggalos plays, maybe I'll give out some choppers knockers. Dean.
Yeah.
Speaking of resuscitation and Pulp Fiction, isn't it crazy how Pulp Fiction resuscitated John Travolta? He was like nothing, man. He was done. He was history, gone for 20 years. Comes in that one movie, and now all of a sudden he's got and he's part of the Epstein thing too, I've heard, but that's a whole nother story.
Just throwing out allegations.
I'm just saying, man. I've heard the name associated in there with it, but like he was nothing, right? He was Welcome Back Carter, Dunzo for 20 years, and then boom, then he becomes one of the biggest stars in the game.
Yeah, and it's funny. I listened to a podcast with Tarantino talking about Bruce Willis. Like sought out the role. He was very much wanted to be in this movie. I think he was too big for that. It was a small movie, right? It wasn't. There's not a big budget. And I think the guy that really put it together was the guy that shows up in the suit. I can't remember his name now. The actor, the fixer,
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel, like he was actually probably the biggest name involved. Like Samuel Jackson was not a famous guy at the time either. And also like the bartender, now I'm really digging in, but the bartender almost had Samuel Jackson's role. He was like the bartender in the club. You see him in like one or two scenes. It was very, very close to being the Samuel Jackson role. But and also what got Samuel Jackson the role for Die Hard or Die Harder was this movie. But again, I listen to a lot of Tarantino stuff. This is my wheelhouse for sure. Alex saying Reservoir Dogs reigns supreme. Is that the best Tarantino movie? It's good. Not my favorite, but you got a favorite? Any one of you guys that feel passionate about this? Your favorite Tarantino movie?
Bobby, what you got?
Probably Pulp Fiction. I like the Django. Where does the Django rank on that list? Like I know it's
top 5.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Bobby. Django was really good, but Pulp Fiction was good. Some of the other ones, like I get it. He's a pretty well-known guy, and he's going to get a lot of fluff for all these movies. But I actually don't particularly like a lot of his movies. I think it's okay. He's okay with some of them. Pulp Fiction really good. Django really good. Inglourious Bastards,
excellent.
Yeah. Some of that Kill Bill stuff, I'm not really into.
I'm not into the Kill Bill stuff either. Dean, are you a Tarantino guy because you like feet?
Yeah. Whoa, you like feet, Dean?
Well, that is the allegations. Yeah, every single movie Tarantino is he's gonna focus on some feet at some point. He probably is on that feet finder. I imagine. Not to make allegations, but
he drops certain words too, certain buzzwords too, for some reason. A lot of them.
Yeah, Jackie Brown also really solid too. He has no duds. People talk about True Romance. He just wrote that. He didn't direct that, so I don't know if we're going to officially count that one. But Slater does feel like a big pinch hit risk. We're talking about Slater leading off there, and there's no Jock Peterson. Once Malone gets kicked out of this game, he turns into Jock Peterson pretty quickly. Just a heads up. Again, if you're going to be feeling confident about Slater sticking around, now if he hits a homer versus Tommy Malone to start the game, good for him. You're playing with house money, but I would not feel great about Slater sticking around. It's Slater, Flores, Wade, Davis, Bailey, Conforto, Matos, Schmidt, and Crawford. Still waiting on the Dodgers, right, as far as lineups. Nope, we're not. We just got them. Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, JD Martinez, Peralta, Hayward. Outman hits 2 homers last night, and he's still buried in the 8-hole. He's pretty cheap, though. And Rojas, who are we still waiting for as far as lineups on the West Coast? Mets, no Mets just yet, and no Pirates. I believe that is it. Okay, we got everything else. There are some questions in chat. Hateful Eight's probably in the bottom 5, bottom 4 for me. Bobby's typing in the chat saying I'm a big foot guy. I don't know. Just because I like Tarantino means I like feet. Yeah, whatever, man. If everybody enjoys it, sure, have at it. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Very clear top 4 is Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and Glorious Bastards. Once Upon a Time. I don't think it's very clear. I like all those, but I wouldn't say it's very clear. Okay, you want to play a stack game, boys? We got 10 minutes until we yield. Until crunch time comes in. I will name a stack. You give them a number. Bobby, you go first. Chop, you go second. 1, you hate it. 5, you love it. 3, you're somewhere in the middle. There might be some follow-up questions. Atlanta, the Braves, Bobby. Where would you put?
One.
1, you hate it. 1 is you hate it. 5 is you love it.
5, I love it.
Okay. Chop, how do you feel about Atlanta?
4.9.
I like the decimals. There you go. You're saying Bobby has a rookie score? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're suggesting without you saying it?
Bobby can do what he wants. He's won enough money. He can rank them however he wants, man.
Of course he can. Yeah, absolutely. Texas. Chop, you go first this time. Give me Texas 1 through 5.
3.7.
Okay. You don't want to add it like 3.73 or 3.79, 3.70 flat?
I think 1 decimal place will suffice in this game.
Bobby, you see that? Raise it, or you want to fold? How do you feel about Texas?
I'm with Chop on Texas, but not 3.7. I'm going to go 3.69.
All right.
Bobby a big 6'9" guy.
Bobby is a big 6'9" guy, yes.
Cincinnati, the Reds taking on All-Star. Who wants to pick on an All-Star? All-Star Josiah Gray. Bobby, you can go first here. The Reds lineup: Friedel, McLean, India, De La Cruz, Fraley, Votto, Steer, Stevenson, and Benson. Benson, interesting if you're into that wraparound stuff. That's another interesting wraparound conversation.
The Butler.
I enjoy the Cincy wraparound. They'll be in my player pool for this 150 that you guys made me join. But they're a 3 for me. They're not a extreme priority, but they're in the pool for 150.
It took me a second. I'm like, the Butler? And then I realized there was a TV show from the 70s that Chop is referencing called Benson with a lead character playing a butler. I'm like, Chop, dude, you're a big Benson guy when you're like 3 years old. You're watching Benson?
I don't make up these nicknames, Dean. I don't know where it came from. I just relate.
I think you made that up. Yeah.
I didn't make that. No, I didn't make that up. And I googled it, and Benson is from. Benson was played as late as 1986, so not in the 70s.
Yeah, it started in 1979 though. So
yeah, but it's 2 months until it was 1980. Dean, come on, man.
Hit the like button if you got that reference, and like the likes are not going to change. But still hit the like button anyway, and do subscribe. And turn
give us some likes, guys. We need some likes. We got to get up to 100.
Jordan Cooper, Blunder's. First of all, imagine Blunder watching the show. Blunder never watches the show. Usually he checks out. Like after his show at 11 o'clock, he's good to go. He's got some wrestling to watch or break down on this podcast. But he says, imagine not knowing Benson. But like, if you're 30 years or younger, there's no way you know who Benson is. Bobby, you know Benson?
I have no idea who Benson is.
No clue. Yeah. Come on, Chop. People don't know who Benson is.
Dean, you're acting like I made this guy's nickname up, Dean.
Yeah, you did. You made it. There's no way that Will Benson's name is his name.
This is why your camera's getting fuzzy right now, because even the camera recognizes. Dean, before we get on to the next stack, and before we run out of time, I'm gonna give 2 knockers out, 2 choppers knockers.
Just 2, precisely 2.
Well, is there any other? Is there a trio of knockers? Would you prefer that? I mean, no, that doesn't make much. It's knockers, man. It's 2 knockers. That's kind of like the thing,
Fair enough.
So
go for it. What do you got?
I'm gonna give you 2 knockers to suck on here. Marcell Ozuna, part of the Brave stack, because at least he's kind of cheap, Like some of these guys are just off the charts. At least he's kind of cheap. And by the way, Dean, I'm gonna throw this stat out there. This Braves lineup tonight, these guys have combined for 132 home runs. The next closest lineup tonight is 50 home runs less. Like these guys got so much
What
power.
is that stat? You didn't do the math on every single team. Where are you getting that from? That's such a weird stat. Is that on Plate IQ or somewhere else?
I did the math. I got an algorithm, brother. I got AI working for me. I got Chat GPT working for me, and I got my algorithm, Dean. I don't do nothing. I sit here and I let the machines do it for me, Dean. The machines told me this guy's name is the Butler. That's his nickname. The machine spit that out. I didn't spit that out. I didn't make that up. So,
but Colton Cowser gets penalized because he hasn't taken in a bat in the major leagues just yet. But he's got power.
We have no idea if he. I'm just giving you the numbers, sir. I'm just giving you what has happened so far this year. They are 50 home runs as a lineup. But that is a massive demonstration of strength right there for the Braves. So Ozuna is one knocker. We'll call him the right knocker. We'll go left knocker. Let's go left knocker. You know what? Let's go Wilmer Flores because he likes to knock the left anyway. So he'll be the left knocker. Wilmer Flores, Marcell Ozuna. There you go, Dean. Suck on him. Suck on him a little, Dean.
So there's a Venn diagram of people that know Benson that also know a lot of the shows that are being thrown out in chat. Silver Spoons. Does Bobby know Silver Spoons? That probably before your time, right, Bobby? I'm guessing. You tell me.
I'm 34, but yeah, it's before my time.
And Belvedere, remember Mr. Belvedere?
I've heard of that name. I don't know what the reference is though.
Yeah, he was a butler. Bob Uecker, he still does radio, I believe, for the Brewers. So like 90 years old or whatever he is. He was the star of that show. Charles in Charge. Every show from like 1983 is being mentioned in the chat. They're just having a good time. The Facts of Life. There you go. All right, Bobby. What's your gimmick? Did you have some homers for the people? Just straight up homers, or I don't know.
I like Chops Ozuna call. I think that's a good call for the Atlanta Braves. For me, I'm going to go Billy McKinney for the Yankees. I'll give a long shot there. Who else can we give? Looking at my list.
That's pretty off the board.
Let me go Tommy Pham for the Mets.
All right. I'll give a couple before I step aside.
They're just long shots. I don't know what the odds are or anything.
Well, so Josh is saying that Billy McKinney's not in the lineup. So that's
he didn't make the lineup. Yeah, that's not good. So
cross him off the list.
Cross him off the list. Yeah. What do we got? Is Fernando Tatis like too easy to say?
I mean, that's something that like TJ would say. He thinks that low-hanging fruit, right? Like, really, you like Fernando Tatis? You think he's good at baseball? I don't know why I'm taking shots at TJ for a particular reason.
Shots fired on TJ.
That's not nice, Dean. That's not nice at all. I'll get some Cal Raleigh. Let me get some Cal Raleigh.
All right. And he's got an official nickname, actually. It's not a made-up nickname. He's got a legit nickname, the Big Dumper. Dean is at his best when he talks Wesley Snipe movies. How often is that? Passenger 20. What was it? Passenger 51? What passenger was it? 41? Chop, you know this. Passenger, I don't remember. White Man Can't Jump? Bullet Train? Or
so good.
There's that Bullet movie he does with Woody Harrelson when they try to robbing a train.
That was decent too.
57. Thank you, chat. I don't know why I couldn't get there. There you go. And shout out Charles in Charge and Small Wonder.
I guess we have an older audience. Blade. He was the original Blade.
Yes. Yeah. Never seen Blade before.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a big action guy.
Oh, so you know what a great movie that he was in? It was kind of the sequel. Well, U.S. Marshals, the sequel to the Fugitive. I could watch that I watch that all the time. It's just a really good movie.
Oh, well, we forgot the chalk. We're on a baseball show, Major League. Got to mention that, right?
Ooh, fantastic.
One of the better baseball movies of all time. Is that fair to say? Runaway Train. That's what it was? Is that what it was? That's the chat saying, at least. That doesn't sound as familiar. Demolition Man.
New Jack City. Yeah.
There you go. All right. I don't know. Is there been a time when we talked about Wesley Snipes movies? I don't recall, but maybe somebody's just throwing it out there for fun. I'm sure Roth has a good answer. Roth, I know you're prepared for this. What is your favorite Wesley Snipes movie?
It's Blade, and it's not close.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? That's the one where he's the vampire, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That movie was fire. That movie was so good.
I know Cards has seen a movie.
I'm alone. I'm clearly alone based on that reaction.
No, I said it. I said it a minute ago before you came on, and Dean's never seen it before, man. Dean never seen it.
Oh, you're missing out. Blade is dope.
Golly.
Vampires scare me.
Oh, come on. Dude.
I forget what it was now, but there was a movie that somebody mentioned on Twitter a few weeks ago that Dean had not seen.
Gladiator.
And I had seen it, and I was shocked that I had seen a movie that Dean hadn't, and I thought that might be a good reason to cancel Dean.
You haven't seen Gladiator?
No, I corrected that. It's spectacular.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's another one coming, either a prequel or a sequel. I'm not sure if I want to see that. I guess I'll see it, but I don't know who's demanding it. But there's one in the works. I don't know if you heard. If you like Gladiator, like 20 years later, they're coming out with a sequel or a prequel.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Sure. And Cards, you're a big Major League guy, right? Old school.
I was a big fan of the Major League movies until the third one and the Back to the Minors missed the mark. They should have stopped at 2. But
wasn't that the name of the team? The Buzz, the minor league team? I think it was called the Buzz.
Yeah, that one was horrible.
There you go. Carty, you have any thoughts here? Surely you have some hot takes when it comes to Wesley Snipes and his movie.
It's a little before my time, I think. I haven't seen a lot of Wesley Snipes movies. Like, I've never seen Blade. I've never seen most of the movies people are mentioning in chat, so maybe I need to check some out.
Demolition
I've seen
Man?
Major League. What's up?
Demolition Man?
No.
Or like Taco Bell was the only food left in America? Was that like one of the plot lines?
Is that the premise of the movie?
Well, I mean, Sandra Bullock's there too, and they use shells to go to the bathroom, if I remember correctly. It's a whole thing. They don't really get into it. Sylvester Stallone, you know Sly?
I know Sly.
Yeah. I haven't seen it like in 25 years, but I remember it being pretty interesting. All right. Roth, the people are going to want to know weather, so we're going to yield to you in just a second. Anything else here? Anything else here, boys? Bobby, Chop, before we step aside and get out of here?
Nope.
Nah.
Corn Dog Fritter says Carty is a Zac Efron fan. I don't know how that correlates to the conversation, but feel free to confirm or deny.
What's wrong with Zac Efron?
Well, there you go. Corn Dog's all over it. that was Chop. That was Bobby. I was Dean. The Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time. It starts now with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent stuff, as always, by the GrindersLive crew. But this is the show. This is the moment you've been waiting for. It is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by FanDuel, and it is the show where we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Derek Carty in the house, the creator, inventor, and CEO of the Bat and the Bat X Enterprises. What up, Carty?
Not much. It's we're coming up on the All-Star break now. It's been, I feel like, a really good season so far. So what do we have? Another few days until a little break?
Next week, I believe, is the All-Star break. Yeah. I always forget that that's a thing. And I need to remember to like plan that and be like, this is the time I'm allowed to do something during baseball season. I told my wife, I was like, oh my God, I don't work next week. She's like, why don't we have plans? Like, yeah. So Carty, you're in charge next year. I need you to text me like a month before and be like, All-Star break.
I mean, they literally put the schedule out in like February, Roth. You could plan this very early.
It's like the literally the 9th year in a row that I've forgotten that there's an All-Star break that we should plan around. Anywho, I am excited for it. We got STL Cards in the house as well. What up, Cards?
Yeah, I don't know. Carty says it's been a pretty good season so far, but he's not rooting for a team that's 35-50. So it hasn't been very good for me from a fandom perspective, but it's okay. Life goes on, and hopefully we'll win some money tonight. I don't really know what to make of this slate at first glance. It's not that there's nothing there. It's just, I don't know. I don't even have a good word to describe it. Maybe we'll get to that by the time we get to the end of the show, but it's a big one. And I know we've got weather as well, so I'll shut up.
Yeah. Well, why don't I just start there? Because there's really only one game that has there's a few games that have like that 5% chance of a delay, but putting all of those aside, of which there are many, the real game is Chicago, right? That's the big question mark. And honestly, I don't know what they're going to do, but if I were in charge, I would postpone the game right now. I just think it's basically going to rain for the entirety of the time that they're supposed to play baseball. So they could maybe try to play and then get delayed for 3 hours. or they could late start for 3 hours and then play. I just like, I don't know. I don't like it. And I'm hoping that it's not a spot that everybody's on. Carty, is this like a super important spot tonight?
No, it's not. I mean, there's some stuff to like in this game, but there's nothing crucial.
It's just, I don't make the calls. Obviously, I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that the weather's going to be a problem. Maybe they'll be super patient and just deal with it. And yes, so Michael says to point out, Toronto plays in Chicago tomorrow night. So it's set up like it's the same teams tomorrow night. I've looked at the weather tomorrow. It's phenomenal. Like this would be a very easy doubleheader tomorrow. And that's why I say, like, if I were in charge, I would have called it an hour ago and just said, we're going to doubleheader it. So if you don't need anyone from that game, I don't think I'd do it. If, you feel adamantly or whatever, and you want to take a shot in a GPP, fine. It could happen, but I don't know. It doesn't look very good to me. So I'm kind of out on it. Cards, are you okay? Just not taking the risk, or maybe just taking the risk in some GPPs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really think there's a ton that I would love as a GPP play, particularly with the bats. And the pitchers isn't really where I want to be taking that shot. So I'm inclined to just pretend like the game doesn't exist. And even if it does play, maybe it's a, 5-3 type of game that nothing really stands out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, as far as them just postponing it now, their owner's kind of a guy who's a little frugal with the dollars, and how many fans are you going to get if you decide to play at noon tomorrow instead of 7:00 tonight? So I get the feeling they'll at least try to drag it out for a while. Just as that's just conjecture based on the White Sox wanting some cash, especially since everyone wants them to sell the team.
Yeah, they do have the sod father. They've got like the best groundskeeper in the big. So, they do have that going for them. Alvin says, what game? We're talking about the game in Chicago. It's the only weather issue on the slate. Okay, well, if we feel like we're not going to miss anything horrible if we fade it, then my thought is you probably kind of fade it. And if you love it and want to do it in tournaments, I'm not saying it's an obvious, definite washout. It just looks dicey to me. It looks like it'll take a long wait one way or another. So with that out of the way, and that being the only weather concern, I think we can just dive into the content. We can talk about some of the pitchers. And Carty, where do you lean here pitcher wise?
So there's a pretty clear top pitcher tonight, and it's Pablo Lopez. He's a really good pitcher. This year in particular, he's been awesome. His stuff has gotten a little bit better. He's in a really good matchup against the Kansas City Royals. I don't see any reason to not play him in cash on both sites. After him, it starts to thin out a little bit. I think there's probably like 2 good options and then a whole bunch of like sameness. The guys that are kind of right below him are Seth Lugo and Bobby Miller. Lugo in particular, I really like. He projects above Miller, and he's a little bit cheaper on both sites. Lugo's, I mean, it's strange seeing Lugo as a starter with a long leash this year because he's just been a reliever for so long now. But that's what San Diego has done with him. It's not like they've made him like a quasi-opener or something. Like, he's a guy who can go out there and throw 105 pitches. And the matchup today is really good. This Angels lineup is without Mike Trout now that he's on the IL, and it is extremely strikeout heavy. So I really like Lugo at his price tag. I think you probably pair him with Pablo in cash on DraftKings. Bobby Miller is also, in a good spot. He's against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's below average. Bobby Miller has been pretty good, has gotten a longer leash since he's been promoted to the big league. So I think that's kind of like your tier A and your tier B. And then tier C is just a whole bunch of guys that all basically project within a couple points of each other. So in GPPs, I don't have any heavy leans. I don't think there's a cheap guy that you're like, yeah, this guy's really good for his price. It's kind of just like a bunch of guys that are like 8K on DraftKings and I guess probably around 8 or 9K on Fanduel. And you kind of can just mix them all up. Play the ownership game, play the, whatever you want to do. You got Alex Cobb, you got Justin Steele, you have Lance Lynn, you have Josiah Gray. All those guys, just I feel like you mix and match, and that's kind of it tonight. I don't really have a lot of interest in many guys below that.
Okay, very good. Cards, if you're making a cash lineup, On FanDuel, is it Lopez? And on DK, do you agree? You're kind of like a Lopez-Lugo pairing. And then what are you doing in GPPs?
Yeah, that's the top pairing. I mean, it's pretty hard to get away from that. Lopez on DraftKings is cheap enough that it's just tough to ignore him as a huge home favorite against the Royals. Carty laid out the case for Lugo, and you look at how much different the Angels lineup is, right now with all the guys that they've had.
I mean, they have Shohei Ohtani still, right?
Possibly. I don't think their lineup is out. Okay, yeah. Their lineup is out. It came out a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so he is, but...
So that's 3 home runs that he's already given up. That's already 3 bombs just for Shohei, but outside of that.
I'm kind of surprised they're not giving him a day because he left a couple starts ago with a fingernail issue, and then yesterday he left his pitching start with a blister, and he's had a few nicks over the last few times he's pitched. So, but still, the rest of take Ohtani out of there, and
wait. It's his birthday. Runs. It's also his birthday. That changes the game. Alan with the narrative street. I mean, that's obvious. Double.
Here's the deal: Lugo can give up a bomb or two to Ohtani and still be the second best pitcher on this slate.
Still get some Ks and still have a pretty good.
I mean, they picked up Eduardo Escobar for cash a few weeks ago, and he's now hitting second. They just called Joe Adell back up from the minors. He's hitting cleanup, and 55-year-old Mike Moustakas is hitting fifth. This is not. They are insane if they give Ohtani anything reasonable to hit in this game.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Joe Adell's been great in the minors, but he's always had trouble translating it to big league success. And if you've got Ohtani up in a situation with a runner on second and 2 out, are you really pitching to Ohtani with Joe Adell?
Even just with no outs and just him and with the bases, just give him garbage and walk him.
It's the Barry Bonds treatment. In any case, Lugo at 7,900 with an increased pitch cap compared to what we're used to seeing from him in past years. He's clearly the chalk SP2 on DraftKings. I don't mind pivoting from Lopez to Steele in tournaments. Not that Steele's been the biggest strikeout pitcher, but he's been a really, really good pitcher, and any really good lefty against the Brewers is going to have a little more strikeout upside. So I like Steele as a pivot away from Lopez. You could mess around with somebody like Cobb or Senga. There's a lot of pretty good pitchers on this slate that aren't going to be super highly owned, whether it's tough matchup or just, the fact that there's other options that are going to project better. You can certainly mix and match some of these guys. Brian Bello has been pretty good for the Red Sox over the last month, so he would be another guy that you could consider in GPPs. But otherwise, I think it's Lopez, Lugo, and then my favorite pivot would be Steele.
Okay, very good. That brings us to some stacks, some bats, and I don't know. I assume we got some options, right? Or is there nothing that really stands out there either, Cards?
Yeah, there's a lot of good offense tonight. We've got, I think, 6 or 7 teams that have totals at or approaching 5 runs. The Braves, as usual, against a low strikeout guy, are going to be the chalk. Just the numbers that they've put up over the last month and a half have been ridiculous offensively. Not the best park in Cleveland, at least compared to Atlanta, but they're facing a low strikeout pitcher. They're going to be the top offense tonight. After that, I think you could make a case for, maybe 3 or 4 different teams as kind of your number 2. And I think this is maybe where you look to get a little bit different in tournaments. You can spend up for the Dodgers, who are probably next in terms of team totals, or you can go, a little bit cheaper. I think my favorite might be maybe a little mini stack of the Mets. I think the Twins are in play as well. Those are my favorites.
All right, Carty, what does the bat say stack-wise?
Yeah, it looks like the kind of night where ownership's going to be really spread out, so you don't have to do anything super weird. The Braves are kind of
play a good team and get low ownership still.
Exactly. You don't need to go and try to stack the Nationals or whatever. Just play the good teams. The Braves do project the best, but there's kind of a top 6 in the Bats view. It's the Braves, it's the Red Sox, it's the Reds, it's the Mets, it's the Rangers, and it's the Blue Jays who, you can probably rule out because of the weather, because there's not a lot that you need from there. They're pretty similar to these other 5. And then there's a handful after that, that are certainly viable. But that's kind of how the bat is dicing it up a little bit tonight.
Okay. You got a favorite out of those or not really? You feel it's all kind of whatever
I guess when you consider price and everything else, like maybe I'd say Boston or the Mets.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, guys, we have oodles and oodles of time, but let's dive into a little position by position. We like to start with a little catcher talk. Also, have we pointed out this show is sponsored by Fanduel? Make sure you're signing up for that Fanduel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers can bet $20, get $200 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. Carty, what are we doing at catcher? And did you just get that RG alert? Anybody?
I did not. What's that?
I just got an RG alert, but I couldn't read it because I was reading a thing. I'll take care of that, Carty. You go through catcher for me.
Sure. Catcher tonight. So the Dodgers are in a good spot against Beto, who's well below average pitcher. Will Smith, if you have the money to spend up, is going to be your top guy. I think he's great. I think Sean Murphy in the Braves lineup, certainly in your stacks, is going to be great. If you need to save money, in the mid-range, you have Francisco Alvarez. I don't think we have a Mets lineup yet, do we? But presumably he will be in there against Henry in Arizona. Henry is not anywhere near as good as he's been pitching so far this year. I like the Mets quite a bit here, a little bit of a park upgrade facing this weak lefty. So I like Alvarez. And then to go even cheaper, this is the one, Jay, that I really – if I'm upset about not getting to play Jays, it's probably because of Danny Jansen at 2.9, who's in a good spot, and he's just way too cheap for how good he is. But you can just as easily go a little bit cheaper. You can play Bo Naylor for Cleveland. You can play Kyle Higashioka. You can play Connor Wong. There are viable cheap guys if you're not spending up to the high end or Alvarez in the mid-range.
Okay, very good. By the way, that alert was that Tommy Edmond is scratched. Do we care, Carty? I feel like we don't.
He's not on the main slate.
And we really
they're not on the main slate because he plays for the Cardinals.
All right. Super don't care. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Cards, anything that you want to add there to catcher? I feel like Carty did a pretty solid rundown.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Patrick Bailey, I think, is okay as well. Tommy Malone is starting for the Mariners tonight somehow. I don't love targeting the Giants in general against lefties, but Bailey's been a pretty good surprise for them, shown a little bit of pop at times, and he's hitting 5th tonight, so I don't mind him as a GPP play.
Okay, how about first base?
All right, so Olsen is certainly going to project as a top play, particularly, if Vlad is out of the mix. Basically, you're between Olsen and Freeman at the top. And they're both over 6K on DraftKings. So then you also got to factor in whether or not it's a priority spot for you to spend, which it might become that way, especially if you're planning on playing somebody like Brandon Belt as a lefty against Lynn, and you're scared about Toronto not being available due to the weather. So in my opinion, I like Olsen a little bit better than Freeman. I'm not quite as high on the Dodgers as some others are tonight. Though I'm not going to fight anybody that wants to play them. I'm just not quite as high on them as a whole at their prices tonight. Alex Kirilloff would probably be my favorite cheap option. I do like Pete Alonso a lot for tournaments tonight. Again, still pending the Mets lineup because we don't have it yet. But those would probably be my 4 kind of Olsen and Freeman at the top, Alonso for GPPs, Kirilloff for value. Maybe you could throw a Josh Bell or Rizzo into that mix. Rizzo is interesting for tournaments too, but I don't think you have to get too cute here.
Okay. I do want to get Carty's take it first, but we need an update on your foot real fast cards. You at your kid's birthday party, you slid from the slide and you may or may not have broken your foot. Yay or nay, it's broken.
It's a non-displaced fracture, which means it's not out of place. There's just a small break in there, so it's just taped to the toe next to it, and it really freaking hurts.
That sounds okay. That sounds about right. Okay, That sucks, man. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. All right, Carty, your thoughts at first?
Pretty similar. Vlad's great, but if you're not doing Jays, obviously you're ruling him out. And if you are doing Jays, Brandon Belt at a cheaper price point is good for the price tonight. But without him, your top tier is kind of like Matt Olson and Pete Alonso are my favorites. But Freddie Freeman is certainly in the mix as well. If you're going a little bit cheaper, Anthony Rizzo is the guy that I like the most. The Yankees are in a pretty good spot tonight. They're relatively affordable, especially over on FanDuel. Rizzo's 3.1K, so I like him quite a bit. I like Christian Walker, especially on FanDuel, where he's also 3.1K. And if you really need to save, noted lefty masher, Wilmer Flores is hitting second against Tommy Malone tonight.
Who was it? I was yelling when you said the name. Who was it?
Wilmer Flores. But at that price, he is actually good, even though the lefty masher stuff is nonsense.
Okay. All right. That seems fair. All right. How about second base? I think we're at second.
Yep. I mentioned Texas is one of the top teams tonight, and Marcus Semien is going to be your top option at second. A little more expensive than I probably want to spend on him in like a cash format, but he is good. On FanDuel, where Mookie Betts has a billion positions, like he's awesome at second base. Ozzie Albies in your Brave stacks is going to be great. But the guy that I think makes the most sense from a price standpoint is Gleyber Torres. 4.8 on DraftKings is fine. 2.8 on FanDuel is fantastic. And so I like him quite a bit. If you need to save money on DK, you're probably going down to like Luis Garcia or Edouard Julian or someone like that. That's second base.
Okay, Card, your thoughts a second?
Yeah, totally agree. I think that's pretty much everybody that's in my pool. Maybe throw Jonathan India.
The Cincinnati guys McLean too.
Yeah, throw those guys in the mix. But otherwise, I totally agree. I think Albies at the top, Torres on FanDuel, Luis Garcia is kind of your DK punt. It'd be nice if the Nationals had a little bit more thump in their lineup, because I don't mind, stacking a little bit against Ashcraft, but Washington isn't really the team to do that with any sort of confidence. So hard to get too excited about it. But that's second tonight.
Okay, take me to third base, Cards.
All right. The usual suspects are in play here from those top offenses. So you've got Riley, you've got Muncy. Even though Boston's not all that great, Rafael Devers is still going to be somewhat chalky. Kind of depends on how you feel about Gray, I guess. His numbers have kind of started to fade over the last month. So Boston's starting to project pretty well here tonight, and they're projected for 5 runs. So Candelario, if you're on the anti-Graham Ashcraft train. But again, hard to get super excited about Washington as a whole tonight. Manny Machado getting almost no ownership against Sandoval is interesting for tournaments. Wouldn't go there in cash right now. I think in cash, you probably got to spend up at this position, and it's probably of that Muncy, Riley, maybe even Jose Ramirez or Devers group.
Okay, very good. Carty, I would like your thoughts at third, and I'd also like you to keep in mind we still have damn near 30 minutes until lock. So really, really dive into third. You really dive into it.
I mean, I like a lot of the same names. Devers in particular is the guy that I like the most. I think you probably spend up for him in cash. I don't have a problem doing Jose Ramirez, doing Muncy, doing Riley. But Devers is the guy that I like. Gray, since coming back from that injury, hasn't really looked good. He's going into Boston. It's a really tough ballpark. One of the hotter games today, around 80 degrees. And I really like the way Boston profiles when they're at home against – like Card said, he's been struggling a little bit. So I like them. I like Gunnar Henderson quite a bit on DK in particular in tournaments, just because he's going to, I guess on FanDuel too, he's going to come at such low ownership, and he projects pretty similarly to that top tier of guys, but comes at a considerable price discount. So I like Gunnar Henderson a lot. If you need to save money, I think Josh Donaldson for 2.9 on DraftKings, for 2.6 on FanDuel is a really good way to go. And you also have Evan Longoria at 2.8 on FanDuel hitting second tonight. So I think he's certainly viable as a punt.
Okay, very good. Shortstop, Carty.
Shortstop. We have the Mookie Betts thing on both sites. He's shortstop eligible. He's definitely going to be a good one tonight. We have Corey Seager, who I really like tonight. Texas is one of the better offenses. Seager's the best hitter on the team. They're getting this big park upgrade. They're going into Boston. Bellows just kind of He's got the platoon advantage. He's really good. If you can spend up there, I think that's awesome. Fernando Tatis on Fanduel, where he is shortstop eligible with platoon advantage against Sandoval, I think is definitely good tonight. Lindor in your Met stacks for sure. Probably not as a cash play. You could, but definitely in your stacks. I like Lindor. I like McLean in your Cincinnati stacks, or potentially even as a one-off. The guy I think you're probably playing in cash games on Fanduel is Gunnar Henderson, who I mentioned. More of a GPP play on DK, but on Fanduel at short, I think you can definitely save the money and play him. On DK, if you're saving money, David Hamilton all the way down, hitting 8th for Boston tonight for 2.2K. If you're not going all the way up to like a Seager or a Betts or someone like that, I think you probably just go all the way down to him.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Cards, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, and the mid-range at shortstop tonight, especially on DraftKings, is kind of barren. So that's why Carty mentioned, hey, here's these top-end guys, and then here's these 2K options. Because if you're looking in like the 3 and 4Ks, there's not a whole lot there to like. Maybe Dansby Swanson against Hauser is fine, but not a guy that you necessarily want to build around. And the Cubs maybe could be kind of an off-the-radar, low-owned stack if you want to do that. But I think, and Carty just mentioned Henderson, and since we have the time, the one stack that I didn't mention that I think is really interesting tonight is Baltimore. They're on the road, so you're guaranteed 9 at-bats, projected for 4.5 runs. If they get to the good pitchers in the Yankee bullpen, yeah, maybe that's a little bit of an underwhelming thought. But we've got basically all of the Orioles projected on DK at sub 5% ownership. Henderson will be a little bit more popular, and in general, they'll be just a little more popular on FanDuel, but it's not like you can't play them over there. And yeah, it's not necessarily the deepest lineup, but it's a team that can score some runs, and you can get, you can get Mullins, Henderson, Rutschman, and then maybe you can use some of those other guys towards the bottom of the order as value pieces. Aaron Hicks still has a little bit of pop, obviously revenge in New York. He homered yesterday. So I like Baltimore as kind of a under the radar stack that I didn't really talk about when we went through the whole group. Otherwise, at short, I kind of agree with the plays. I think Seager at the top, going down punting if you need to on DK with Hamilton or with CJ Abrams. I think that's fine if you need the salary savings.
I'm proud of you for mentioning revenge narrative on a show with Carty. I thought he might jump through the screen and kill you.
They were my composure. Come on.
Good job, Carty. Good way to keep it together, Carty.
Well, see, Aaron Hicks is very vengeful because the Yankees fans booed him off the team. Oh. And then once he went to Baltimore, he got off to a really, really good start. And then all the Yankee fans were complaining, "Oh, Hicks can't play in New York, but he goes to Baltimore and he's great." He's kind of
almost as if guys don't want to play for New York fans, and it's almost as if like 100 at bats doesn't actually mean anything.
That may have something to do.
Tell
with
that to the Yankees fans.
Yeah,
the fans would realize that they'd stop running guys out of town.
Yeah, crazy.
The ever patient Yankee fans will not do that.
Yeah. It is kind of wild that, like, if you struggle to start in that city, they'll
done, man.
boo
You're not getting out of that hole.
Right? Yeah, they'll boo you and put like so much pressure that it does actually start to matter. Like that's not great.
There have been a lot of players who are like, I don't want to play for those fans. I'm not signing with the team. Like, I don't want to do it. And as a Yankees fan, like, don't you like reflect on that a little bit and be like, hey, maybe we should stop doing this so we can recruit better players? But no, they
tone it down a little. No, they keep it up.
Can you imagine a guy going from playing in New York to playing for like Pittsburgh or a place like that? Like, they're not booing me here. There's nobody here, but
they're not cheering me either. At least they're not booing. All right, very good. Hey, let's. I think we're in the outfield now, Cards, and I do believe you get to lead us off there. What do you think?
Yeah, outfield is probably the deepest spot. Obviously, no surprise. Based on where you're at salary wise. I think you're going to have to, you're probably going to have to take at least one cheap option tonight, based on most people are probably going to be spending up a pitcher for Lopez or Steele. So the cheap options, Duran leading off again for Boston is going to be really popular. Max Kepler's 2,800 on DK. He's going to be pretty popular tonight. Tommy Pham, 3,100 on FanDuel, 3,200 on DraftKings. Has probably been the most consistent hitter for the Mets all year. Again, at least from last look, we didn't have their lineup, but those are probably three of my favorite values tonight. If you're going to, try to spend up to get to Acuna, who is always the top guy, it's pretty remarkable. Acuna's fantasy points on, I've got DraftKings pulled up now. The last time Acuna was under 10 fantasy points in a game was the 18th of June. So
stop it.
Yeah,
how is it even possible?
15, 10, 22, 24, or 14, 32, 14, 28, 18, 17, 10, 27, 10, 13 the last 2 weeks.
That's insane. What a run.
But he's 6,700. He's basically approaching the highest price we've ever seen for a hitter. Yeah. And there gets to be a point, like, it'll be really interesting when you cross that, like, mental threshold of 7K for a bat. When is a guy worth it and when not? But it is tough to fit him. But if you're doing like two of the values, you can probably get him in there. I'm pretty neutral on whether or not you need him. In tournaments, I definitely think you don't. But like in cash games, his floor has just been so safe that it's tough to build a case against it at this point. But depending on who's in there for the Mets, again, Pham I like. Even if Nimmo's in there lefty, I don't hate that tonight in GPPs. Tatis could be considered as a tournament pivot away from Acuna. Yoshida's been hitting it really well. He's hitting second for Boston tonight, so he's fine. I'll stop and let Carty go.
Okay. 2 thoughts, Carty. First off, we did have in the chat, John says, Hicks was there for 8 years. How patient do you want us to be? Which, if the guy sucks for 8 years, then all right, you get a pass.
Maybe patient isn't the right word, but how about realistic? Like, what are you expecting this guy to be? He's been like around a league average player for several years. Like now, all of a sudden, for like a month, he's worse than that, and you're like, oh, gotta get rid of him. Like, just accept him for who he is, and don't be shitty. Like that's it.
Easy now. Easy with that. We'll tone it down. We love all our viewers, even if they're Yankee fans.
I'm not talking about any viewers specifically. I'm just generally Yankee fans. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Hashtag family show, Carty. Hashtag family show. The other thought was I want to start with Acuna. And like, well, actually, I want to start with, what are you sipping on right now?
Tea.
Oh, all right. I don't know. Could have been whiskey. Knowing you, it could have been straight whiskey. I don't know.
It's a valid guess.
Yeah, let's start with Acuna. Like, do you think the right move in cash is to play this dude? Because I feel like that's insane at that price for any hitter.
No, I think you do. He just projects so much better than everybody else. He's so incredible, and the matchup is good. Wild. And yeah, I think you probably just play Acuna.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, then let's go through the rest of the outfit. Like, I think it's insane to play anyone in a sport. Like, this ain't basketball. He's not getting stats just because he's getting 40 minutes. Like, he could strike out 4 times.
He could, but you look at his average expectation, and he
doesn't
way higher than everybody else. So
yeah, that's wild. All right, walk me through the rest of the outfield.
Yeah, so Acuna is great. Tatis and Mookie Betts, who we've mentioned a couple other positions, I think are really good. Giancarlo Stanton is the guy that I really like tonight. He's kind of like a high-end projection with like a mid-range price, which is really nice. 4.6 on DK is pretty good, and 3K on FanDuel is crazy good. The Yankees are in a good spot, and Stanton is not the guy he used to be, but he still has plenty of power. And at this price, the chance that he hits one out is really good. And in GPPs, like, he's not even going to be high owned. So I really like Stanton tonight. In terms of like lower mid-tier kind of guys, I definitely like the Mets guys. Tommy Pham, Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo. Like, they're all definitely in play tonight. I like Jarron Duran a lot leading off for Boston. I mentioned Boston being one of my favorite stacks tonight. So I like Duran. I like Yoshida. I think that whole team is great, but their outfielders in particular are really strong. I like some of the Minnesota guys, Kepler in particular at his price, and Buxton definitely. Seiya Suzuki, I think, is great on FanDuel at his price. And yeah, that's a lot of guys.
Okay. All right. Bobby says the funniest part is that Carty's demeanor on the show actually has a lot of parallels to Yankee fans. I don't disagree with that.
The difference is that it's slightly a bit, and also all of my takes are well reasoned and supported by math, whereas Yankee fans are just like, my Uncle Sal says that he can't, he strikes out too much, so like whatever.
You're gonna get us some. You know that there's like a lot of people that live in New York, right? There's like probably like a tenth of the people watching this show right now live in New York. You're gonna get us in trouble, but you're not wrong. Matt says, "Hey, what happened to Cheese? Cheese is good. Cheese is good. Don't worry. He's around. I don't know. He's sick, but he's around. Cheese is good. He'll be back. Cheese is good. All right. Hey, let's do some home run picks. How about that? Who wants to start us off? Cards, you got a couple picks for us?
I think I've got to go with Aaron Hicks after the discussion. In all seriousness, I don't think he's a horrible bet tonight. Any of those Baltimore guys, I think you're going to get reasonable odds on. But if you're looking for somebody a little bit chalkier, I'll go with Max Muncy.
Very good. All right, Carty, I want the bats, like the best. First off, some DFS home runs, and then I always like to hear what the bat thinks is like mathematically for a bet. It's usually got some guy at like plus 2,000 odds. That's the dude. And I always enjoy that.
Mathematically for DFS, I don't even have to get off the board because the bat's favorite guy for a home run tonight is Giancarlo Stanton, who's not even going to be that high owned. Facing a fly ball pitcher, Power Park, huge power guy. Like he could easily put up a 0, but his home run chances are about as good as you're going to find on this slate. So I like Stanton a lot. In terms of a bet, Masataka Yoshida for a home run at plus 925 is our best option. So he's actually like a name guy. It's not even like a super weirdo. And so there you go.
I got some people saying, "Hey, Roth, what's the latest in Chicago?" Like, fans at the White Sox ballpark said no BP, but game on for now. Like, game on in what manner? Literally, if I was in charge, I just have no idea how you would get this game to play except wait 2.5 hours from now. And maybe that's what they're going to do. Like, legitimately, maybe they just are going to have a late night.
Because Jerry Reinsdorf wants to sell some beers before they call it off.
I swear to God, Cards, if they postpone this game like an hour or two from now, I'm telling you, it is nothing but
they're going to delay the game, and then they're going to call it 30 minutes after. I'm telling you. I
swear to God,
what's this game start time? 8.
If they
8,
do
10.
that, if they do that, it is just the most purely, obviously, greedily motivated thing I've ever seen. Because
you put this in the ledger right now, right? Your Central Time, right? Just like me. So that game starts. That game is scheduled to start at 7:10. You're going to get the PPD on that game at like 7:45. You watch. They'll have those people sit around for like 30 minutes, and they'll call it at like 7:45.
They have to. I swear to God, if they do that,
put it down. Just write it down. You're getting a tweet if it happens.
If they haven't announced it yet, is there any chance they start it and delay it after like an inning?
I don't think so. Like, I think if they're trying to play it legitimately, they'll just wait like maybe 2 hours and then play it after. Like, I don't think they can.
They'd be real stupid to try to start on time if you look at the.
Right. If they start on time, they maybe get an inning, and I don't even know if I don't know.
Have I told you I got a story on this? We got to get through all the questions, but I've got a very, very good story on this.
All right. I'm intrigued. All right. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I think they're out there doing terrible, greedy things, but like this would be a clear example of it if they postpone it in like an hour. It truly would be. Everybody knows what's coming. The weather's not going to surprise anybody there. So we'll see. I honestly, just because they haven't postponed it, by the way, I still think they just wait like 2 or 3 hours and then play. Like otherwise,
7:45.
I swear to God, I will be super pissed if they do that. All right, let's see what we got. Can you play Tommy Malone in a DK GPP. He's so cheap. Cards, he's so cheap.
Yeah, so Cheese wrote him up as a potential punt today. I get the logic behind it. And if you want to stack all the bats, I suppose you can. I can't get there, but
yeah,
Cheese would tell you otherwise for what it's worth.
Carty, you looked mad. You looked straight up angry when I said that name. Can you play Tommy Malone in a DK GPP?
I don't think he's necessary. I mean, he's super bad. At his price tag, like he's fine for 4K, but like, what are you really hoping to get out of him? Like, if he gets you like 12 points, you're very happy. I just don't think you need to do it tonight. I think there's enough ways to be different on the slate.
That's fair. All right. Carolina guy says, FanDuel single entry, your favorite stack to win it all. Carty, your favorite stack to win it all. Boston, isn't it?
Give me the Red Sox or the Yankees.
Yeah, I called that. I know you. Let's see what else we got. Scrolling up just a little bit. All right. DK GPP cards. This one's for you. This is a 3v3. Olsen, Albies, Michael Harris, or Alonso Torres Acuna with a Boston stack.
Ooh, I like that second one. That's pretty spicy for tournaments.
Very good. Okay. DK, Carty, Tauchman, or Jankowski on DK?
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm not big on either one. Let me see who projects better. Tauchman.
Okay. Arlo says, DK Cash cards. This one's for you. Kauser? I don't know who the hell that is. Kauser and Betts or McLean and Kepler?
Kauser is this Orioles prospect they just called up today. Okay. He's like 2K or something. It always
makes me feel better when I have no idea who the hell someone is. And then you're like, oh, they literally just called them up today. I'm like, that makes me all right. Now I'm okay.
I'm going to need that combo again, though.
Yeah, it was Kauser and Betts. That sounds good, by the way. Prospect and definitely good dude. Or McLean and Kepler.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is going to be a little bit more risk reward for you. I kind of do like that Baltimore stack. Like, I wouldn't play Kauser on his own, but if it's part of a Baltimore stack, I like that first one. Otherwise, I think the second one makes more sense.
Okay, very good. Dan Jan says, Carty, Rizzo or Turner, last piece, first baseman on DK. I'm playing a red and also have Stanton, like a red stack with Stanton. So Rizzo or Turner with a Reds and Stanton.
A red stack, not a Red Sox stack, right? So correct. I would take.
I think so.
Yeah, I would take Rizzo.
Okay, very good. Beaner says, "Give me FanDuel GPP." I don't know what that means, man. Give me a legitimate question, and we will do what we can. DK cards. This one's for you, Gunner or Muncy.
Ooh. I mean, individually, you got to go Muncy there. But if it's an Orioles stack, I like Gunner.
Hoosier Sang Banner says, Tommy Malone sounds like a guy that would steal your girl. I agree. I'd be intimidated if my girl was hanging out with Tommy Malone. Dante says,
Tommy Malone is almost as old as Tommy Malone's almost as old as me, so he's probably not stealing any girls at this stage.
It sounds like it, though. Yeah, the name recognition solid, but good to note. Dante says, Betts or Ohtani on DK cards. If you answer this wrong, remember, I will shun you for life. But no pressure.
Again, I think Ohtani's getting like 4 walks tonight. Like I just
so true.
I cannot see them pitching to him with what is around him in that lineup. So for that reason only, I'm going with Mookie.
Okay, that's a good answer. Very good answer. All right, Derek says DK GPP one off. Carty, you like Bowers or Canna?
I probably take Canna. Bowers, you're always getting a big pinch hit risk with, but if you want to take that risk, I do like the spot.
All right. NBA DFS says cards. I'm going to make you work for it. FanDuel cash in the util, $2,600 or under. He's already got Donaldson.
Yeah, go ahead and ask another question to Carty and come back to me. I got to pull FanDuel up here.
Okay, very good. FanDuel single entry, Carty. This is for you. R. Vasquez or Marsh?
Honestly, I wouldn't play either tonight. I don't think you have to get that cute.
Oh, okay. All right. This is Beaner's question when he said, give me a FanDuel GPP. And I was like, give me a legitimate question. He meant give me a FanDuel GPP pitcher, which I actually love that question, Carty. Who's your favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher?
I mean, outside of Pablo and probably Lugo, everyone's going to be relatively low owned. So it's probably like Bobby Miller or Justin Steele.
Yeah,
if you need to save a little bit of money, maybe like Josiah Gray.
Okay. Cards, you got an answer for us? I think it was 2,600 or under in the util FanDuel cash.
But he said he was already playing whom? I forgot who
Donaldson.
was.
It was
Yeah,
Donaldson.
Donaldson's going to project as the best. I mean, there's a lot of guys at like 27, 28, 2,900 on FanDuel. That range is kind of a dead zone. Even though I've kind of shunned the rest of the Angels lineup, like I do think Joe Adell is okay at 2,000, which is min salary, obviously. I mean, you can play Luis Garcia also at 26. I mean, I would probably try to rework my lineup to get an extra couple $100 to get to one of the other stronger plays, but otherwise, Adele, Luis Garcia, those are probably your options.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Carty, I'm going to make you work on this one, and I'll pepper Cards with some questions while you do. Tom says, DK Cash, your favorite catcher, 3K or below. By the way, did you guys know this is free content? And that if we don't get enough thumbs up and enough eyeballs, it may no longer be free. That's right. That's a threat. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up. Make sure you hit us with a subscribe on the YouTube. We're basically, it's free because of FanDuel. If they don't like their return, it might not be free forever. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. Carty, best DK catcher 3,000 or below.
So assuming we're not doing the Blue Jays White Sox game and Danny Jansen, I think it's probably like Bo Naylor.
Okay. All right. Very good. Dan Jan says, do you hate Ashcraft today? I'm actually going to give that to Carty because Cards doesn't hate, well, he hates his own team sometimes, but Carty is more the hate or love person. Carty, do you hate Ashcraft today? Do you hate him?
I don't hate him today, but I don't like him either. Like he's I think kind of overrated as a pitcher. He's still not fully built up coming back from injury. Like he should be able to go 95 or 100, but he doesn't have the upside to throw a complete game kind of thing tonight. The matchup's fine. Washington's bad, but they're also very low strikeout. And you don't have to do a lot to be different tonight. Like you can play legitimately good pitchers tonight and be different. So I don't think you need to do the Ashcraft thing.
Okay, very good. FanDuel single entry Cards. This one's for you. Manny and Xander mini. It's like a 2-man mini stack. Or Tatis and Mike Ford one-offs.
Oh, don't like Mike Ford.
He said in parentheses after Mike Ford, gulp. I didn't add that, but he said that.
Yeah, no, go with the two good hitters as opposed to one guy you don't want to play at all.
Okay, very good. FanDuel cash, Carty, Stanton or Glaber. Stanton's kind of your boy tonight, I think, but there's a cash question.
I like them both. I mean, you should be playing Glaber in your second base spot. So I don't know. I mean, I think you play them both, honestly. But yeah, right. I guess it's Stanton above Glaber if for some reason you're playing someone else at second.
Okay, very good. DK Cash, Cards, Hap. How about I say the word? Hap or Marte?
I mean, I don't think either is really a cornerstone for cash games. I'd go Marte. Hap is more of a GPP guy, more of a boomer bust type of play, and he's been slumping a bit. So, give me Marte.
Okay. Let's see. Is Randy Vasquez in play? This is from Marky Mark in the YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube. We're hitting lock here. Is Randy Vasquez in play for you on FanDuel, Carty?
Marky Mark in the YouTube bunch, did you say?
Marky Mark in the YouTube bunch. That's very nice. Is Randy Vasquez in play for you, Carty?
No. Very similar to Ashcraft. You get a little bit of salary savings, but I just don't think he's necessary on this slate. The matchup's not fantastic. The leash is not super long. Just play someone better.
Okay. Well, we have hit the lock, and my daughter is upstairs giggling her face off, and I want to get in on that. So we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Carty and for Cards and for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.